Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. My name's Aidan and in today's video I'll be replacing the rectifier on my boat's outboard engine. This engine is a 1990 Johnson 70 horsepower 3-cylinder 2-stroke, and while I'll be working on this specific model, the process should apply to a lot of Johnson and Evinrude outboard engines of the same era. Right now my engine's missing its cowling stickers and a previous owner has decided to spray paint some parts of the engine silver, which is not quite the OEM look that I'd ideally like. So in a future video I'll be tidying it up and restoring the OEM finish. So if you're interested in seeing that, then please make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. And back to the rectifier. I'm replacing it because the current one doesn't contain a voltage regulator. Instead, it relies upon the battery to control voltage, which isn't ideal with modern batteries. That limits my battery options, and I need to get a new one before I can take the boat out on the water. So I'll just quickly show you the part I'm going to be fitting today. It's literally just arrived today in the post. I've ordered it from a local marine parts supplier, so I'll put the link to the company in the description. Nicely packaged. So the part I'm using is made by Eclectronics, and there's the part number. There's an unregulated version of this, which is what I've currently got on the engine, and there's this one which is the regulated version. So this is basically to make it compatible with, as I say, the more modern maintenance-free type batteries. And this is the actual regulator rectifier unit, so let's get it installed. So first I'm going to remove the cover from the engine and put it to one side safely out the way. And here we can see the location of the rectifier. And the first step of the removal is to disconnect the electrical connections. So there's basically just a terminal block, and I'm just going to remove the wires that go to the rectifier. And with the wires removed, I can now just remove the screw holding the rectifier in place. As far as I can tell, the original rectifier would have had 2 screws holding it in place, but it seems like the aftermarket ones aren't quite the right size in terms of the hole positions. So in my case, I've just got 1 screw holding the rectifier onto the engine. But even with that, it's nice and secure, even with just the 1 screw. So now everything's loose, I can just feed the wires out of the harness, and then the existing unit is now free to be removed. So here's a close-up, just showing the part number. So this is the unregulated version, and a quick side-by-side with the original on the left and the new regulated version on the right. So now we can install the new one. So one of the wires terminates underneath the mounting screw for the rectifier, and in my case the screw is actually slightly larger than the terminal. So what I'm going to do is just widen the terminal slightly, just so that it can fit around the diameter of the screw. So now we're ready to install the new regulated rectifier onto the engine. So first I'm just going to make sure that that ground wire is seated underneath the mounting screw, and position the rectifier with the mounting screw ready to screw into the bracket. So now I can just tighten up the mounting screw, route the wires into their correct locations, and finally tighten up the terminal screws. Now in my case I've actually got a spare or redundant wire, which is this grey one. So I think this is in some cases used for the tachometer or rev counter, but on my boat it picks up the tachometer signal from elsewhere. So what I'm going to do here is put some heat shrink on the end of the terminal just to make sure that it's nicely protected and not going to short out on anything, and just neatly coil the wire out of the way just so it's nice and secure and not going to interfere with anything else or get damaged. So now everything's installed and secured, so we're ready to give it a test. So the first step is to make sure that the engine's got plenty of water circulating And the way I'm going to do that is by using these flushing muffs and a garden hose. Bit smoky because obviously it's a two-stroke and I think I gave it a little bit too much choke. Okay, so we've got the engine running, so now I'm just going to use the built-in voltmeter on the dashboard, and as we can see it's reading around 13 volts or just over, so that's a good sign. While the engine's been running, the voltage has increased a little bit to around 13.6 to 13.7 volts. So I'm just going to check it with my handheld multimeter as well. And on the multimeter we're getting around 13.6 volts, so I think it's within the ballpark. So I'm quite happy that that's where it needs to be. Just wanted to double check that the rev counter is actually working, and as you can see it is. So I'm just gently increasing the throttle, and as you can see the rev counter is responding, so that's good. So that completes the installation of the new regulated rectifier onto my outboard engine on my speedboat. So the boat's now one step closer to being ready to go back onto the water. So I just need to source a new battery and give it a good clean and make sure everything's all ship shape. So that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed the video or found it useful, or both, and if you did, then please give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribed, and I hope to see you soon on another video. Thank you for watching.